This is Our House, presented by Samsung. Defense, the future and the present. Specifically one Luc de Fougerolles, who's made himself look, fits in very well. Let's put it that way, with the Moïse Bombitos, with the Alphonso Davies in that back four. 4 starts at the World Cup, plus a very impressive half as well. He's 20 years of age, Wheels. 20. This was a breakout campaign for him. There's no doubt about it. He's only just started playing professional football the last year or so. His stock was going up anyway, but after this World Cup, where does Luc de Fougerolles sit, do you think, in this whole transfer scuttlebutt? And just where does he rate himself and the teams rate him?
Yeah, very impressed. I didn't see performances like that coming heading into the World Cup. I still think that there were significant question marks how he would handle, taking on accomplished opponents in a high-pressure tournament. The games are a little bit different, and he adapted admirably. I thought he was excellent. Obviously, the data supports that as well. And I think more people are confident about where Canada is at in terms of the center back situation than they were potentially before the World Cup. For him, though, now he just needs to go play regular football at a higher level. I think that the loan move to Dender, I had no idea who Dender was before he made the move. And now they're gone back down to the second division of Belgian football, and I can forget all about them. But I will not forget about him. I think he needs to go on loan from Fulham. I know that Arbeloa has come in. They have a new manager at that time. We'll see what happens to Fulham this season. He just needs to continue to play regular football. It would be extremely demanding and maybe a step too far right now to expect him to play and be ready to play regular first team football in the Premier League. Like the pace of the game, the physicality, it's the expectations, it's just on another level. But I think that staying within the country, perhaps a good championship side could be kind of the remedy, just to get him on the field, play. The games are fast, frenetic. I think that will put him more into the spotlight, maybe in a position to take that next step in the not so distant future. So I think another loan move, just stay within England or the UK, and maybe just take a step down in order to take a step forward.
Yeah, Amy, I mean, we must be a little bit careful, right? I know we like to over-embellish and estimate our young footballers. How good can they be? But this kid's been talked about like he's Fabio Cannavaro already. He's 20 years of age. He's good. He's come a long way. We understand that. And he was very impressive. But he's still relatively a raw centre-back to deal with here.
Yeah, he is. He's a little bit roughly hewn? That's not a word. He's just a little bit rough around.
It is now.
Rough around. Yeah, it is now. Rough around the edges a little bit, but the composure and the maturity to back it up. This is a kid like when I played and you had people who were being capped and blooded, you wanted to look into their eyes and you didn't want to see fear. And this is a kid who is unflappable. He gets out there and you can see that his teammates have confidence in him, and he plays like a mature, composed veteran. And he's only 20 years old. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. I saw the board myself, but whether it's defensive contributions, his clearances, his tackles, the way he gets stuck in, whether it's on the ground or in those aerial battles, and also how he understands how to cover. He understands who's next to him. We've seen him play against some stalwarts, some mainstays with this men's national team, and no matter who is to his left or to his right, because we've seen him deployed at the left center back position and at the right, more often than not on the right, he does very, very well. So yeah, the ceiling's high and the expectations are also high, but I think this is a kid with more professional football under his belt, more international experience. He's played against a myriad of opponents. I think Jesse Marsch has full confidence in him, but with good reason as well. And at times it can feel frantic, I'm sure, playing in Jesse Marsch's system, especially playing that high line, the press, and you understand that you're going to be put under pressure come the other way with that other team in attacking transition. And he doesn't get nervy. When he's on the ball, he doesn't look to boot it away, and you get into this interminable game of ping pong with the opponent at times. He settles the ball down, and he's quality on the ball. So I think we expect big things from the kid because the proof is there in front of us that, yes, it might look a little bit rough, but all of the quality is there for him to develop into a really, really good center back, whether you're talking international football or, the sky's the limit for where he goes next from Dender, who got relegated to the second division in Belgium.
And at this point, you need minutes for a young player. And at Fulham, you have Issa Diop and Calvin Bassey, who are very good centre halves in the Premier League. That's not his level right now. What is a good move? Is it go to England to make the step to the Premier League at some point smoother, or at this point does it matter where it is in Europe?
I think for me, the championship looks like it's really well suited to him. Wheels mentioned it earlier, but that's what I was thinking as well. Like where he's a really physical center back, he almost welcomes those challenges, and it seems to elevate his game even further. So I think he'd be well suited there. I mean, we've seen some Canadians go there. We know that Alfie Jones, had he not been injured, would probably have made the best 11 for Middlesbrough in the championship himself. I think that is a good pattern. That is a good blueprint for the likes of Luc de Fougerolles, who has a very sexy name, but he plays a very old school brand of center back. You know, he's one of these traditional center halves that you would see come out of England, and now developing with England or with Canada rather, and then playing, this Marsh style of football. I think you bring that whether you go back in Europe, anywhere else, but I think he'd be really well suited given his qualities, given his upside, his physicality. I think he would slot in quite nicely to the second division in England.
Yeah, I like how you brought up his work on the ball, Amy, because that was the first time I saw him play. It was in an FA Cup match for Fulham, and that was the thing that jumped off the page, his confidence on the ball. But now he's shown he's able to do other things as well, just in terms of using his body. I like how you said playing within the chaotic setup of Jesse Marsh is challenging, and he rose to the challenge. Just something to keep in mind, international football is very different. It's a lot slower at times. He needs to show that he can provide, you know, that he's durable for an entire season. That's why I like the championship as well. It is a lot of games, and even this year at Denver, he was in and out of the team. He was knocked up a couple times over the course of the season, and I think he just needs to prove that he can last and be consistent through an arduous schedule. And you're not going to find a more arduous, more difficult season than playing in the championship. So I just think that's kind of the ideal landing spot.
Is it too soon, Wills, do you think, to start asking about his ceiling compared to, say, a Moïse Bombito, who we all think, if he stays healthy, can go as far as he wants to go? Is it too soon?
I don't think so. The biggest difference between the two is that Moïse Bombito's 26 and he was a late bloomer. Like, Moïse Bombito was playing in a community college in Iowa when he was 20 years old. Luc de Fougerolles featuring as a starting center back in a World Cup for Canada. I just think that they're on different levels. And this isn't a knock on Moïse. He wasn't afforded the opportunity. He was a little bit of a late bloomer. He was a midfielder who then converted to playing center back. Luc knows what he is. He knows where he plays. He's come through a very good academy setup at Fulham, and he's being managed in the right way. So he's going to have opportunity that, for me, are just higher and more and higher ceiling, more importantly, than Moïse Bombito. They're different types of players, but for where Luc is at 20 years of age, yes, he absolutely does have a higher ceiling than Moïse Bombito.
Interesting. I will go play contrarian, which I often do when I'm on with you, Wheels, and I'll say that it's Moise Bombito who has the higher ceiling. I think Luc, given the fact that he's an academy kid, he came up through it, he understands kind of what he is, to your point, like what type of center back he is, what type of footballer he is, and what type of kind of future footballer he can be, what he can develop into. And not that that's a knock on him, but I think Moise Bombito, what stands out to me is not the long and winding road and how he found himself at community college, playing in the USL, then the Colorado Rapids, and then he was picked up by Nice. It's the blistering pace and it's the physicality. And if he recovers from this injury, which, you know, you look at how he looked versus Uzbekistan, and I think alarm bells were ringing for a lot of Canadian fans and likely for Jesse Marsh as well. He did not look himself. But given the short window that he had in camp during the World Cup to improve to a point where he resembled at least the Moise Bombito of old, I think he's going to be on a pathway where from Nice and Ligue 1, he could potentially be one of the first defenders for Canada to play in the Premier League. I really do think that his ceiling is that high because the tactical acumen, the understanding of the game, and who he is as a footballer, I think the on the ball and like moving in possession and starting attacks has developed a little bit more for Moise. But I mean, just the amount of pace that he has, the cover that he can provide a team, I think for me, just instantly what's baked in there is a ceiling that's much higher than a kid, even though he's full of promise, like Luc de Fougerolles.
Yeah, Bombito is literally a pianist, right? Literally. Whereas I think Luke is more rock and roll. That's the difference between the two. Very useful. Together, could work very well together, actually. But we thought it
Yeah.
would be Derek
I like
Cornelius and
that.
Bombito for years ahead of us, right? And now there's a new conversation. And it might still be DC. We don't know, but there's young kids coming through there as well.